What up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of These Corona Times. As always, you are tuned in with the three coolest cats and kittens on the internet. You know, it's your girl Tiffany, it's Dr. Simone, and your boy Brandon's in the building.
What up, folks?
Brandon's in a very good mood this evening.
Very good.
Very
It's
good.
a good weekend.
It's the
Yeah.
weekend.
Yeah, it's been a good long weekend. So we want to welcome you all back. We're with episode 11, back to school in these Corona times. And before we hop into the description of the episode and discussion, we just want to say a big thank you to everybody for following us in this venture. We did a thing last week. It launched our Facebook page, and we appreciate the likes and the follows and the live commentary in the videos. Yeah. I think Brandon just said we were like 250 likes.
Yeah, 257 likes.
Keep on doing that. Yeah, keep liking, keep following, and continue to share. Because we're gonna be here as long as Corona allow us. So it might be a while.
That's unfortunate, but you know, it is what it is now.
Yeah.
True.
All right, Simone, what you got?
So we're gonna, of course, our last episode was episode 10, and we did our self-care goals within the context of marriage. So we want to check in about how we took care of our marriages in this past week. So who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
Okay, what you got?
So, you know, with me, I like to do my job uninterrupted by myself and just kind of away from everybody. And, you know, my wife works a lot as well. And so she's upstairs most of the time and I'm downstairs. And so I took everything upstairs and most of the time this week. And actually, you know, while I was working, talking with her and, you know, gave us a chance to talk more and bond more a little bit. So it was actually good. I didn't do that every day because there were some things that I really wanted to focus on. I didn't need to bond right then. but most of the week last week I was able to be upstairs with her and talk with her and, you know, go over stuff and ask her input on certain things as well. So it ended up being pretty good.
Nice.
Cool.
Tiff, what about you?
So mine was to try to give Joel the space he needed in these Corona times because we discussed last week that I am much more of a homebody and Joel's kind of, by nature of his profession, just out and about a lot more than I am. So, you know, my husband's a church musician predominantly, and churches are slowly starting to reopen and have services and things of that nature. And we have really been having some come to Jesus discussions about, you know, going to these services and, you know, what you should do when you're out there protecting yourself. So there was a revival that he was asked to play for this past Friday, and I really didn't want him to go. Not because I didn't want him to help or be a part of the service. It's just, I don't trust other people. Like, I trust you to do what you're going to do, but I don't know about other people. So let me just say I was right, number one, because he sent me a video of the other people and they were not social distancing.
They weren't doing the right thing.
They weren't doing the right thing. They weren't doing the right thing. But he was like, see, I'm doing my part. I'm staying away. I got my mask on. But these people over here, they're not doing right. So, you know, it also just worries me. We got a long way to go as far as like keeping up with this mandate of wearing your mask and staying 6 feet away from each other. But I digress. I let him go. And it wasn't an awful experience. And, you know, he was very safe. So I feel like I did good in my attempt.
Well, selfishly, I appreciated all of that because I got to spend more time with you doing Netflix parties.
Yes.
Some of it I enjoyed, some of it I did not. She drugged me down a hole. But my self-care, my marriage self-care was going to be, we were on vacation. So we're doing like everything together, but not, you know, we're not in the same space. So we're visiting friends from a distance, got to hang out with Brandon and Tiffany and Joel well, not so much of it. We was wearing our masks.
Somewhat of a distance.
And I didn't know how to do it. but we all do what we're supposed to do, so that was nice. And we just been relaxing, eating well, and just hanging out. So I would say we did a good job on our self-care, and hopefully more Netflix party time coming up.
Oh yeah, well,
Is that what it's called? Netflix party?
About the whole eating well.
What'd you say?
I said I could definitely attest to the whole eating well thing. Thursday
Oh,
night.
Brandon. We know.
It took me 3 days. 3 days to eat that food. I couldn't even. It took me 3 days.
Yep, I took it down in one sitting.
Yeah, Mr. Brandon notes. Brandon had what I ordered and what Simone ordered, which was an entree and an order of sushi, and he finished it at the table. No to-go boxes.
It was quite impressive. It was. It was. So, Brandon, you want to orient us to the episode?
Yes.
Oh, I like that term. You want to orient us to the episode.
That's a
I like
PhD
that.
thing.
That's that doctor stuff right there.
That's what happens when you get all educated. So we are talking about going back to school in these corona times. And there's a lot of debate around that right about now. It's right about that time. It's the end of July, right when people start to think about all of those things. You know, school shopping starts right about now. You know, whether it's getting pens, papers, uniforms, whatever, new shoes. Right now. Say what?
Shaheen.
They got a sale.
But right now, my house would be just packed full of like new supplies, new this, new that, because you know school would normally be starting in the next 2 or 3 weeks, so we're starting that prep. But with everything that's going on, you know, we're trying to figure out, is it even safe? And there are two sides of that debate. You know, you have one side is saying, yes, it's safe because kids are less likely to get coronavirus, and, you know, we need them to get to school because it's better for their social. And then you have people saying, well, we don't know. Can kids really socially distance? You know, can this happen? Are teachers protected? You know, what was the rhetoric around all of that? So just something that we feel that we would kind of talk about, because we're all impacted by that. You know, myself, because I do have I have a school-age daughter, and my wife is an administrator for a school. Big ups to her. Simone, because you know her son is close to school age as well, and she works for a university. Tiff as well works for a university. So all of us kind of have to deal with, is it safe to go back to school? Should we do online learning? Should we just chalk this year as a loss? Should we just cancel everything and just worry about it in 2021? Like, what does that look like? So we're gonna talk through a couple of segments, a couple of topics, and we love to hear you all's feelings as well, whether it's in the comments or you know whatever. But we love to hear what you all's feedback is, because again, there's so many people that have a lot of different perspectives on this.
Yeah.
I mean, we talked about all the different options, and I was surprised at how strong how strong my feelings are about this. I didn't think I would feel so strongly, but it just feels like we're so unprepared for this, and every state is on. It's just interesting to me how every state is handling coronavirus differently. Every state is going to be handling, and every district handling the school opening differently, but at the same time, from the very top, like the White House is saying, everyone should go back to school. It's like, how can you tell everyone they must go back, but yet there's all this individuality around how to control the virus, and the virus is the reason we're asking the question. Yeah. So I don't know. How do y'all feel about it?
You know, I think. Oh, go ahead, Tiff. My bad. Go ahead.
On, Brandon. Go on.
Go ahead. I truly believe that the coronavirus has exposed every single crack and flaw in our society. And I think that includes schoolwork. And I think the folks that are so gung-ho about going back to school, I almost feel for them, because I think some of it is they don't know another way. versus if the situations were a little bit better, we would have so many more types of schooling that it wouldn't be such a big deal. But we're being exposed as not having very many good options outside of that. So that's kind of where I'm at with it. I want things to be as safe as possible for my wife, selfishly, if you want to call it that, selfishly for my wife and for my daughter. I want them to be as safe as possible. And if they're very safe, that means myself and my son are going to be safe. So, I'm all in. Here in Kentucky, we are doing the online learning for at least the first 6 weeks of school. And then we're going to kind of go from there, because our numbers are starting to pick up a little bit.
Yeah. And for me, the word of the year for this year has been tentative. Everything is tentative. It changes. It's tentative. So, as a person in academia and the university level, that's been our decree for the last 4 months. We've had work from home, work remotely, dates pushed back. And I won't say that people haven't been thinking about what to do in the event of reopening, but I think a lot of people thought this would be over. If you listen to our, I was gonna say our wonderful, but our president, playing in the sun will cure corona. Being in the direct sunlight, getting the UV light inside you will
it'll disappear.
It'll disappear. So I think many people thought, yes, we have to consider school, but the summer's going to wipe this joint out. It's going to be gone. But as we're seeing, like Brandon just said, and I know Simone's probably experienced the same thing in her residential state, even though she's with us in Louisville now, the numbers are going up. So, what's the plan? And there's no easy way to put it. Like, this is not a simple fix. There's not a one size fits all. But it can't be everybody go back in the classroom. Like, if we're saying to folks that we have to be socially distant, we have to wear masks, how are you going to put all them kids in the overcrowded classrooms and be social distancing? How are you going to do that? So I think there are a lot of unanswered questions. No, it doesn't make any sense. And I appreciate JCPS is starting off with the online education for the first 6 weeks. And then I don't know what the plan is from there, but I feel safer with them starting off that way.
Listen, I'm going to keep it real with you. How do we expect kids to be socially distanced from each other?
We can't social distance.
No, the adults can't do it. The adults can't. You got kids, they going to be like, you got corona, and coughing on each other. You know how kids do.
That's exactly what I was going to say. My kids, to themselves, when they want to get on each other's nerves, they'll get close to each other and be like, and fake spit on each other. What they gonna do in the classroom?
Look, they're not doing nothing that we not doing. Okay, like when we hung out this week, we went to dinner previously. The first thing I did when I walked in out of instinct was I reached out to hug my friends.
Yes.
Out of instinct. Like I totally forgot we're not supposed to be hugging each other. And Simone don't touch me. If I can't remember, she was like, distance. If I can't remember to do that at 36, what are kids going to, who haven't seen their friends in 4 months? It's the same reasons we can't open church right now, because the first thing we're going to do is hug each other. And we're not supposed to.
And especially for the little ones, they learn by playing, they learn by interacting. And I watched the teacher on YouTube today, and she was in tears talking about how she can't show her kids the love that she wants to show them because they have to stay wherever she was. They were doing 3 feet. The desks have to be 3 feet apart, and they can't do any group work. And so my question is, once you get them back in the schools, what are you really asking for? Because they're not going to be learning in the same way. And so I don't think that the NTI is perfect either. But I think what also was frustrating for me is I feel that this is very, very political. I feel like as it relates to how the coronavirus is being handled, the numbers, and, whether or not we're listening to Fauci or not, I feel like it's all very politicized. And I feel like this is all about, Trump's reelection. He wants to be able to say, I got the kids back to school during the pandemic. I killed the coronavirus, despite the fact that our numbers are looking trash alongside other countries who did what they were supposed to do. And so that I think that's what bothers me the most, is that it seems like the emphasis is on him and his re-election stats, as opposed to what is really good for our children and for our teachers and for our families.
And you wait a minute, you know Barron's not going to school, right? You know Barron's
Where's Barron at? Where he going? Where is he
Barron
going?
gonna be in the West Wing getting his.
He's gonna be in the bunker. He's gonna be in the bunker getting taught. He's good.
Right.
But
live-in tutors.
I think what's also playing with us is we expect a perfect answer.
Mm.
And right now, there's just not a perfect answer for anything. And we have to face the facts that there's nothing perfect. We have to do the best that we can for right now. And, is NTI or non-traditional instruction, is that the best thing for these kids? Absolutely not.
Nope.
There are some kids that might actually do well with this, but a good piece of the school kids that won't do well. But it's the best thing we got right now under short notice. So we have to do what we can to do that. And again, I think for some kids, there may have to be maybe an asterisk about it. Oh, that kid didn't do so well last year. Well, it was Corona year.
Right.
The year of Corona. They should just pull the Oprah move. You get an A. You get an A.
You get an A. Everybody's getting an A.
Everybody gets an A.
Or what if they said, or you get internet? Because everybody don't have internet, right? Like, what if they took all the hoopla about kids have to go back to school? What if they instead thought about, well, how could we do this differently? Because everybody don't have access to the same resources. Everybody ain't got, and like, what if they make sure everybody could get, I don't know, internet or a laptop, or I don't know. I'm not sure. It seems like it's a very.
Let's hit on that for a second, though.
Yeah.
Let's hit on that.
Talking about exposing those cracks that Brandon was talking about in our system.
Right.
Like, you got families who don't live in areas that have good internet. And you know what? We've been talking about this just amongst ourselves. Some of us have fiber or whatever, which is supposed to be the top tier. How many times is our internet cut out on us during this time of working remotely? Like, the internet's doing overtime. So think about the people who have the basic internet. Like, they're probably really like struggling to just make connectivity.
Yep. So you got folks who, because again, my kids are going to be fine. I got high-speed internet here. I've redone my desk. Redone my office so that way I can put a big desk in here for Ava. So that way when she needs to get down and with her laptop and everything, she's fine. And so if I'm making decisions for other kids based off of what I can do,
it's different.
That's wrong, because a lot of kids that are not as fortunate is able to have those things and to be able to go to an Office Depot closing sale and rack up on some things.
But not just the things. What about the environment? Like, some of them don't have a quiet place in their home where they can do this work. Some of them have parents who are frontline workers who have to be out, working day to day. Not have both parents in the home. Like, there are a lot of reasons or a lot of scenarios that kids may not be able to do well in this type of environment.
Yeah. So why not think about strategies to support those people? And I don't know what that looks like. I have no idea, but I do know this either or scenario is not working. It's not helpful. And it feels like there's a punishment aspect. If y'all don't go back to school, we're going to take money away. Like, how is that helpful? It's like you're making it about, it's like you're saying, oh, if you don't do what we say, you're being defiant and we're going to punish you. And it's not about defiance. It's about safety. People are scared. I've heard, I haven't seen any reports of this, but I heard that some teachers are writing up wills and they're preparing for
I've heard that as well.
end of life because some of them have vulnerabilities and they can't, if they are exposed, like you've been not in a bunker, but you've been quarantined this whole time. And then school starts and you're supposed to be in a classroom with 30 kids. Like, come on now. Like, what? that's not good for you. You know, that's not
Yeah.
going to be good for your health. And so people are really, really scared about what could happen. I read the other day that I think it was South Carolina private schools are getting $32 million in tuition grants. Private schools, $32 million in tuition grants and federal funds for families during COVID-19 after their governor pushed to get the state public schools to reopen, to get the schools to reopen. So it's 5 days a week. They're going 5 days. So it's like, why is there this reward punishment thing going on when it shouldn't be about that?
And you know, one thing that I think we need to make clear as well, we are not, you know, as folks on this vidcast, podcast, whatever you want to call it, we don't want to shame anybody for any of their decisions as well. You know, we definitely understand that there are some people who need school to be open. You know, for me personally, that comes in the form of childcare. I need childcare to be open in order to be effective at my job. So I understand parents needing school to be open. You are a frontline worker, you're an essential worker, you have to work. You know, you may not understand. You know, if English is your second language, you may not be able to teach your child, you know, as effectively as a teacher would be. So we completely understand and don't want to shame at all. We're just trying to bring light to multiple things, because again, it's a very nuanced type of conversation. Anybody that pretends that it's black and white is just fooling themselves.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. And go ahead, Tiff.
No, I was going to say, while we're here, you know, just want to make sure we give a shout out to the teachers who have been adapting during this NTI stuff. You know, we talked about before how this really has exposed flaws and things, but, you know, I'm thinking a lot about my own experience when I was in high school, and a lot of my teachers were older. They weren't for the online. They were, you know, written paper grade book and all that kind of stuff. So, you know, I'm thinking about those teachers who are nearer to the end of their retirement or whatever, who are not really that online savvy, who had to really adjust and adapt to this new environment as well, and get that training to be prepared to even go to NTI. So we recognize it's been hard on the teachers too. So, you know, we definitely want to say we appreciate the teachers for what you do, not just for the NTI, but just in the classroom period. Because I think a lot of folks, a lot of parents this summer have realized how hard it is to teach their children.
Now is the time to strike, teachers. You didn't hear that from me, but now if you want some more money, now is the time.
Right.
Brandon's going to pay you what you're worth.
Right. I like what you said about not shaming folks, because I think there's kind of, in my head, I think of it in two ways. Like I'm really bothered about how punitive like those are at the top. Huh?
Okay, I was just saying punishment. I was agreeing with you.
Yeah, like why can't those at the top who are making these decisions about this, you know, about whether or not to go back to school, why can't they work alongside folks instead of doing this punitive thing that they're doing? And on the other side of that is parents. You know, I think it's really important for us not to shame parents who decide to send their children, because, you know, everybody's home is different, and every parent is going to make their own choice. And so, yeah, I definitely support, you know, parents' decision to do what they want to do. It's like Brandon was saying, it's such a nuanced and complex situation.
So switching gears real quick, I'm not sure if we're ready to talk about this a little bit. It's been an interesting couple of months nationwide, hasn't it?
Yeah.
So
talk about it.
Where I'm going with that is you have a lot of individuals. Again, we you know, with a lot of stuff that's been going on as far as, you know, with George Floyd, with Breonna Taylor, we've had a whole lot of that started up. And we've had a lot of individuals feel strongly one way or another. And some of those individuals may be teaching our kids.
what individuals do you? No, I'm just. I'm with you.
Which ones
no,
do you mean, Brandon?
Right. What do you mean? No, you're right. And that's I was talking to somebody else about this the other day. Like, you cannot, whether you go through NTI or back, especially in the classroom face to face, I can't imagine going back in there and expecting to just get back to work like nothing changed, because the world is completely different.
It will never be the
completely
same.
different. It
Yeah.
ain't the same.
Yeah, you're going to have a lot of children, young people who are energized, invigorated, woke, shall I say. I know we kind of throw that term around as jokingly, but woke for real on things they didn't know about or weren't privy to or didn't have the opportunity to see or even care about prior to this summer of COVID, which is this uninterrupted stream of being able to tap into marches or be a part of events, or even see the police brutality firsthand that they wouldn't probably normally experience in a regular time. How are you going to take that new wokeness back into the classroom?
You got your pro-Trumpers who are extra pro-Trump, and you got your pro-blacks that are extra pro-black. And I don't hate to make it like either or, but it does feel like that in the world. Like, it does feel like that. And what?
You got your anti-mask wearers versus your mask wearers. You know, like.
So how you handle, but even that seems to be, the divide there seems to even be politicized. Yeah. You know, if you wear a mask, like when we were on our way to Louisville, and I text y'all, and I think I Marco Polo'd y'all about going into the all-white convenience store, and nobody had on a mask, and I was like, oh, these are Trump supporters. They got to be. And I thought, well, Simone, why do you think that? Because it just seems like that's the feel, and that's probably not accurate, but that because there's a divide, and it seems like wearing masks or not wearing masks seems like a political statement now for whatever reason.
And I hate to generalize what you're saying, but a lot of times when you see these videos of people who are engaged with people who are arguing about not wearing the mask, they're saying some of the same stuff our president is saying. You know, it's my right, it's my body. You know, you don't love this country the way I do, stuff like that. And I'm just like,
take that mask off.
Wearing a mask is unpatriotic. What's a mask got to do with? How does that?
So this is going to be going on in our schools. These folks are teaching our kids.
Oh my gosh!
How do you keep these biases? How do you keep these biases out of schools? Because now we understand that in schools, people are biased, whether you're black, white, whatever. There's going to be some type of bias there, right? And so we have that going on. And now you have it even more. You know, it's like doubled or tripled. Like, how do we keep that out of education? Like, I don't know. I don't think you can. At this stage of the game.
It's right there on the surface. And we, you know, I don't know if we want to mention any names. I mean, it's all over social media. But you got folks, teachers, educators who have said very racist things.
A lot of people getting fired this summer.
A lot of investigations that are going on.
Didn't the teacher here in Louisville allegedly, and I'll say allegedly so I don't get sued.
Right, allegedly.
She allegedly was saying that you should run over the protesters and that would be fine because they would blend in with the pavement or something like that.
Yes.
Is it alleged? Is it really alleged if
we
it came from her profile?
Say allegedly.
I'm going to say allegedly.
Allegedly.
I'm going to say allegedly.
I need people to take ownership of their Facebook feelings, you know, because allegedly
take ownership. Come on.
She wrote this, you know, but then 10 minutes later or whatever, she's allegedly sorry that she
I said it. She was said it out of anger.
I was so angry.
Allegedly.
I ain't never been so angry where I said you should run over people because they blend in with
I ain't never did that. I ain't never been
that angry. And I got siblings, okay? Look.
And this is a younger person, so I think sometimes we think of racist people, and that's not even a microaggression. That is just straight racist, right?
Yeah.
And we think of it being like older, you know, people like, oh, you know, no, this is a younger person, and it's disturbing because you know if they said that out there in the open, then they had to think that other people would go along with it or that it would be socially acceptable.
Right.
So.
You know, I say all the time that I tend to fall in the rabbit hole of those articles, and I see people's comments, and there are so many people to cancel. It's ridiculous. And there are people who are, spending time tracking these folks down and saying, that they work for this. Is how this teacher got caught up, because somebody screenshotted her information. Somebody went to her profile, saw that she was a teacher for JCPS, and reached out to JCPS saying, we don't want this type of person in our schools. The number of people who need to be fired for their comments is becoming innumerable. It's staggering. It's staggering. And folks will say things. At this point, I feel like they're saying it just so people can try to get them fired. I'm like, is this like a fun game to you? I don't understand.
Right. How you get so bold?
Yeah.
Can you imagine if this happened to one of our kids, like Brandon? If this happened to Caden or one of your nephews or nieces, Tiffany? I won't say what I won't say.
What you would do. Don't say
it. I would be in a different. Y'all have to talk me down because it's like these are educators. You're supposed to be there to uplift our children.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of educators of color who are working and I've talked to some of them who are really, really nervous about how to support Black and brown kids when they come back because they know who their peers are and are really, really concerned about like how do we integrate some kind of support system to help them when they come back? Because this is different.
Yeah.
And it's crazy.
Yeah, in a time where everybody's being much more vocal about what they believe. We're talking again about the word exposure, as Brandon said earlier, using it in a different way. This time has just exposed so many people's racist beliefs and values. It's also exposed so many people to being proud of their culture, one way or the other. Whether it's being super white or being super Black. It's really, or other nationalities. It's really exposed people to want to take pride in their culture and being more vocal about what that means to them. So I don't know. We're already a bit of a melting pot, and I'm pretty sure these discussions were happening on some level in school prior to this. But what now? Like, I almost worry, are there going to be more like fights and arguments? Do we need to up security? Are we going to have to start separating folks? Like, what is going to take place here? How do we prepare our kids, our teachers to be in this environment where people have the right of expression? By all means, you have the right to express yourself, but are being so much more vocal about what they feel and passionate about what they think.
At the end, what may be funny, what might be the funniest thing is NTI might actually be the best thing for right now, because it'll give the kids a chance to kind of ease into school instead of just going all in at first. And that might help kind of ease things up, in the very beginning. I have no idea if that's going to be true, but for me, it just seems like, okay, because I know for me, I know for my kid, with her NTI, her online learning stuff, she was doing her classroom with a couple of her classmates, and they were on their laptop or their Chromebooks and whatnot, and they were doing this, that, and the other. So that might give them a chance to kind of ease into those conversations, in a smaller group. So when they are in a bigger group later on down the road, then they'll be a little bit better with those conversations and with those feelings and thoughts and whatnot.
So this might be a good time to kind of talk about some of the slides that we're going to share with you all, some of the information we're going to share with you all. So we think, because we talk about race all the time, no matter what, if we could be talking about biscuits on here, we're going to find a way to
talk about race.
Talk about race is really important, because I know we always talk about, Black folks, but if we think about, Asian folks, Asian American folks who are in schools, and just in the community, they've been having a really, really tough time since all this started, because, the president uses really harmful rhetoric, like, so they're saying coronavirus or COVID-19, he'll say China virus or something.
Yeah.
And I've been doing lots of, right. And so, found some research. The Pew Research Center survey, Asian adults in the U.S. Are most likely to hear, they're most likely to say that they have been the subject of slurs or jokes because of their race or ethnicity since the outbreak of the virus began, compared with 21% of Black adults. And a lot of these folks, they've been the target of just a lot of race-based violence since all of this started. And so if we think about like talking to kids about race, we have to know that kids begin to kind of recognize differences about race or racial differences around 3 or so years of age. And there are developmentally appropriate ways that we can talk to kids about these types of things. And the older they get, you know, the more exposure they're going to get. Like when we were on the call a couple months ago with the kids from magazine, they were talking about it, you know, and when we were their age, we didn't have social media. So we wasn't exposed to all the stuff that they were. But it's just, you know, it's tough to think about, you know, like you were saying, how do we keep bias out of schools? And it's like, we don't. And so how do we support our kids?
That's the better question. That's definitely the better question. How do we support our kids? Yep. You know, I know this summer, what we tried to do was, you know, we really wanted to expose, you know, my daughter to as much as possible. She'll be 7 in 2 weeks. Yep, 2 weeks from today, actually. And we were really, you know, we took her to a Juneteenth, you know, festival downtown. And she was like, what's Juneteenth? And we were, you know, kind of explaining to her and this, that, and the other. And so I know that I need to step up my game when it comes to stuff like that. Because growing up, you know, I was shielded a little bit more from that. I didn't have to learn on the fly as my daughter has to now. So definitely trying to expose a little bit and answer some more of her questions more often.
And we're also going to put on there, we won't get into it now, but things that parents can do, which was, some of them are just like educate yourself on ways that you can advocate for your children in the schools, getting comfortable with discomfort, because I think we have to create an atmosphere where our kids can come and talk to us when they have, you know, racist things said. I was talking to a friend on Facebook, and I remember the very first time I heard somebody be called the N-word, and I remember that, but nobody ever talked to me about it. Like my grandparents were actually standing right there when it happened, and the person wasn't talking to me, but they heard it, but then they never spoke to me about it. And I just kind of like, it was just kind of stuck there. We have to make these explanations when we're talking to them meaningful. So like there's been a lot of, y'all are talking about fighting in the schools. You know, some of these people, these kids are going to go back into schools. Their parents or siblings were at these protests. And the you know what I mean? So that could happen. And we have to like, oh, mommy, why are people so angry? You know, explaining, well, people are upset because they want equal rights, you know, like saying that in a way that folks can understand. So we're going to, you know, kind of put that out there for you all to have, as well as some other links to resources, like books and other types of things where you can talk about race with your children and talking to them about protests. As well. So it's just really important to try to, because we can't get biased out, but we can do our part in our homes.
Yeah, we can definitely do better with supporting our kids. So that's a really good point, Simone. Very good.
Yeah, you utilize your resources for sure. And ma'am, are there things that educators can ask for, like trainings or things that they could be doing in their schools to kind of help with this as well?
Absolutely. I think that there are so many different trainings and workshops that people can have, people from their districts, maybe diversity and inclusion types of professionals, or even outside the organizations come in and do workshops and trainings on anti-racism, on bias. And I think, you know, Black people, you know, people of color, we can't be racist, but we can be prejudiced. We can practice discriminatory practice. So we're not immune, but, you know, there are resources out there. And there's I don't know if she's a psychologist, but she's a white woman who does a lot of anti-racist work. And we can put that link in there too, but she's got all kind of resources for educators, students, and parents in terms of like, you know, just how to have conversations about race and how to approach it in a way that's more, you know, adaptive and helpful.
Very good.
I know we talked a lot about our secondary and primary schools as far as education goes, but you know, we also want to just hit on colleges and universities as well. In some ways, colleges have kind of a better grasp of this because a lot of them do provide online education. But if you are a student preparing to go back, or if you're a parent preparing to send your child off for a first year, make sure you know what your options are. Ask about the dorms, ask about the living policy or arrangements. Find out if you're coming back to classes after Thanksgiving or not. Adhere to your campus's policy about wearing masks or whatever you can do. And then also look into online classes. If you don't feel safe, you have more options than our kids do as far as education goes. They kind of have one way or the other. But in college, you kind of have the pick of the litter here. You can do a mixture of online, you can do a mixture of in-class, in-person things. Yeah. So I know just like with the other school systems, all the colleges are different. Some of them are doing online only and not having people come to campus. Some of them are doing a hybrid. So just, again, find out what your options are. Don't be afraid to ask and utilize your resources.
Yeah, and again, when I think about this, and I appreciate the three of us talking about, you know, we kind of were checking our privilege in that, you know, there's just certain avenues, you know, resources that we just have. Like our kids are going to be just fine. Like my child is 4. I don't have to take him anywhere if I don't want to. I want to take him somewhere. But if he was school age, we would be just fine. And I know that's not the case for everybody, and people have to do what's best for their family. I think my hope, and I'm sure the two of you would agree with me in that, we just want people to feel supported in making their decision and not feel like there's a finger being pointed at you
one way or the other,
one way or the other. And we have to support one another as much as we can. So.
Just because our situation's straight don't mean we can't help somebody else's situation get straight.
Absolutely.
And you know, we say this a lot, give yourself a break. We have never done anything like this before. Like even though COVID started in March, we had 2-3 months of school left. So this is uncharted territory for everybody. So, you know, take it as it goes. Don't allow yourself to get frustrated. Just keep yourself informed of what's going on, what your options are, and just, again, give yourself a break. If you really, like they said, if you really need your kid to be in school because of your home situation, don't feel bad for that. If you don't want to send your kid to school because you're afraid for their safety, don't feel bad for that either. Right. This is really just about knowing that you feel supported in your decision, and then also just continuing to have an open discussion about this, because I know everybody feels differently about it. It's a really big issue right now.
This ain't normal, folks.
Yeah, it's not. You know what? Those school lists that people complain about every year, instead of having crayons, it's going to be 8 boxes of math, 20 boxes of gloves, 20 hand sanitizer.
You're right.
Can we talk about how the schools have their back to school display up like kids are going somewhere? They're not going nowhere.
What did you say? Say it again.
Can we talk about how these stores have their back to school supply stuff up like kids are going somewhere? I saw mannequins.
It ain't going nowhere.
Y'all not going nowhere. They're gonna be home.
Oh my! No permission slips this year. No field trips. Virtual field trips.
Virtual field trips. Again, I think from the three of us, we're saying just cancel this till 2021. You know, we're good. If you just want to cancel till 2021.
Hang it up.
Yeah.
Hang it up.
But, you know, as we're preparing to wrap this up before we go, we want to know what you all think. You know, now that you've heard us kind of rant on about what our thoughts are about going back to school, what do you all think? Do you think it's safe for schools to reopen? Just a simple yes or no. Just drop it in the comments. Let's keep the discussion going beyond this video. Do you think it's safe for schools to reopen? Just simple yes or no.
Get as many people's perspectives as possible, because nobody, in my opinion, has a patent on truth and on knowledge. So somebody might bring something up and be like, oh, I didn't really think about it that way. And definitely could use that to make a better decision for my household personally. So I welcome any and all opinions.
Yep.
And Brandon, I just want to say something to what you said earlier. Brandon has mentioned to us about 10 times the way that he reorganized his room down there. He's so proud of that extra space.
He's so happy.
Keep mentioning
Why you?
He keeps talking about it. Brandon, we know.
So much space for activities. Just that room.
Listen, I got room right
Can
now.
we see, Brandon? Can you show us?
Can I show you? Let me see if I can pull it up here. I got
And
a little extra space.
That right there,
whose
that's
car
for
is
Ava.
that?
If Ava needs space.
So I got that whole area over there just for the kids to kind of put a desk in, and I can't move my camera so far. Yes, I'm very proud of that because I'm gonna tell you, we struggled, man. We struggled during NTI in the very beginning. I was downstairs working in my office, and I have the only desk here in the house. And so my wife was upstairs in the bar area doing stuff, and then Abel was at the kitchen table doing stuff. And it wasn't good. So when I first started hearing about the NTI stuff, I was like, all right, man, I gotta do better. And so I reorganized some things, bought some more stuff, dipped into the budget a little bit. And yes, I am very proud of the election space. Y'all are not going to shame me for being happy about that.
I can't wait to walk in it. I want to walk in the space.
Right.
I can't wait.
I think there's enough room to make carpet angels. We just lay on the floor and spread out.
Plenty of space for carpet angels, actually.
But no, no, for real. As a person who doesn't have a home office, I appreciate what you're doing with the space, because y'all see where I am. This is where I am all the time, Monday through Friday, on my teams, on the Zoom and everything. So there's nothing like having a space. And now that I've gone back into work, kind of this hybrid of going in and coming out, I miss my office. Like, I don't necessarily miss being in the building or exposing myself to COVID, but I miss being in my office, just by having the space to spread out. So, it's a shout out and a backhanded.
Right. It's both. It's both. So you guys, as we come to the end here, y'all want to talk about how we're going to take care of ourselves and prepare for all the things that are coming up this week?
Sure. Who want to go first?
I can go first. I'm still on vacation, so I'm going to just continue. Oh, did you? Oh, well, I'm going to continue to just be on vacation and do what I do, which I need to stop eating. There's a lot of eating going on.
We're not done yet, though.
I know we're not done, but we're just gonna continue to watch Netflix parties, hang out with my mom, and hang out with these two and others. So that's what we're gonna be doing.
Okay, I get down with that. I gotta text Sean and be like, when you can get away.
Oh, Sean got time.
Yeah,
I got
He's
time.
free. He's free. Just go ahead and call him up. What am I gonna do this week? I really just want to spend more time with my friend, whether that be virtually or in person, because we chat on the polos a lot, like almost every day. But it's different having her.
It's every day.
It's every day. But it's different having her in the same city and actually just like 15 minutes away from me. So I'm hoping we can do another social distance walk, which Simone knows I hate the outside. It was a struggle, but it was a great walk. So we walked for like 45 minutes last week. So I hope we can do it again. That's gonna be my self-care, to kind of get outside some more. And I'm gonna kill two birds with one stone. I'm gonna see my friend and I'm gonna go outside.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. And I'm actually gonna get on. I'm gonna get on the same train with that. I'm gonna holler at Sean a little bit more. I definitely miss hanging out with my guy friends quite a bit, and Sean is one of my closer guy friends. So definitely getting with him, once or twice this week, be like, oh, let's just get together, let's talk, let's hang out, let's just, just get together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He will love that.
Yeah.
And so we have the Facebook poll, right?
Yeah, we got a Facebook poll going. We want to know what you think of the reopening. Is it too soon to reopen schools? Yes or no? We got that happening. Do we want to say anything about our next episodes coming up? Do we want to? Simone's making faces.
Sure. I don't remember. I don't remember what it is. It's gonna be good. Whatever.
It's gonna be great.
We have a special treat in store for you.
Yes.
And special for us too, because we might not know what it is yet. So, but no, I think as we said at the top of the episode, like we're trying to stay relevant and keep up with topics that are happening. So, we have some things plotted out, but as things come up, we're gonna try to make sure we talk about those too. So we do have a bit of a schedule planned for August. So we are ready. I think there may be a girls' night out episode.
Yes.
That's 2 weeks,
Yeah.
I think,
A
right?
girls takeover.
Yeah, girls takeover. So, watch out for
Mhm.
that. We got a couple of panel discussions that might go down this month, guests pending. But yeah, we might be able to do that for you as well. Yeah, it might be a little spicy.
Spicy conversations.
Yeah.
And we want to know what you all want to hear too. So if anybody
Definitely.
has thoughts or opinions on what they want to hear, we would love to hear that. So write it in the comment section.
Yeah, somebody gave us one last week about like how to not give your employees the side eye after.
Ooh. Just give it to them. Just give them the side. That's my advice. Just give it to them.
Returning to work after you've seen your employee act up on Facebook, like how not give them the side eye. So hopefully we can revisit that topic too. But yeah, we got a lot of stuff going on. So as usual, stay safe, wash your hands, wear your mask.
Put your mask on.
Socially distance, visit your friends. Do that. And until next time,
absolutely.
We remain yours.
We remain yours.
Seeing those segundo too, is that what it is?